Alright, I'm doing a 4L30E conversion from a 4-valve to a 2-valve pump. They already sent me the wrong pump kit, or wrong parts in the pump kit. So it's always a good idea to check that stuff. I'm doing an LS kit, which is a kit with clutches, pump bushing, the 4L30 kit from Supplier, and 4L30 bushing from Transgo. We'll get started on this one. I'm going to have to do this in pieces. The GoPro's probably not going to get to record the whole thing on this. This is going to be the last recording for the GoPro. More than likely, it's headed back to the factory to get replaced. So we'll see what we get. There's a lip seal down inside of here. We gotta get off. It's easier to just get a hook around the seal and just work it around. The lip's gonna face down. This lip's gonna face down just like so. Get your scribe on it, get it started on one side, and then just work it around. And get your hooked end, get underneath the seal, and just work it around. Make sure it's not rolled. More than likely it is, and I'm just going to work that back out so it's not rolled up in that groove. Down inside these ribs here, down in the side of the drum, it's easy to get packed full of stuff, so make sure that's all blown out. Here's our piston for this. Make sure that the lip is facing up towards you. Just check balling the piston. Make sure that it's nice and free. There we go. Get your lip seal tool. Find it's easiest to just kind of put it on the side and lower it down in there and just work it around. I use a snap-on drawer lock or drawer slide tool. It's what I've always used. I find it the best for me. You can use whatever you want. Lip wizard that comes in some of these kits, feeler gauge, whatever you want. All the springs for all the drums are the same, so just put them all on those little tips that are down in there. This is the retainer for this drum. It's got the little cutouts. We've got our snap ring. We want the short end of the taper up towards us. We're going to put the opening of the snap ring away from these openings. Put it over in here somewhere. Alright, we got our cushion plate. And then we got steels and clutches. We're going to alternate with these clutches here. End with the steel. I'm going to put another cushion plate on top. And put this with the waffled end down. And then we got a snap ring that goes, flat snap ring goes in there. Alright, the ring gear goes with the cutout up, facing up towards you. And then another flat snap ring on top. This washer, this little tab, it's going to sit in that cutout right there. Now this rubber seal in here is very easy to break when you're trying to put it on. Try not to rip your old one in case, because to get it you're going to buy a whole kit. And if the kit's been sitting around for a while, when you go to try to stretch it, it's going to rip in half. I've had it happen a couple times. So try not to stretch it any more than you have to. The lip's going to face down. Just work it down into the groove like we did the other one. It's probably going to be rolled a little bit too. Get up underneath it. Make sure it's not rolled. And lip seal for this one, lip facing up towards you. Make sure your check ball's loose again. Alright, here's our retainer. And do the same thing. Short end of the taper is going to be up. And put the opening in this area. There's two snap rings that are real close to each other. We want the larger one on here. And there's two different thickness of clutches that go in here. There is no specs for the clutch clearance. It just says to keep it between 8 and 10 thousandths per clutch disc, which is about normal for anything. This dish plate, the dish goes up. Alright, we have this really thick washer that goes on the bottom. We got two bearings that are similar. We want the one with the small hole here. We got two washers that are sort of similar. We want the bigger washer to go in the back of here. Our sprag is turning counterclockwise, locking clockwise. Yeah, I'm on there. Start in there. Got this special tool right here. It comes with 6 of these. I've lost a few along the way. And it comes with a tool to push into those holes right there. It works fine for the early ones. The later ones, that pin's too big to get in there. I just use a scribe. They suggest you can use anything that will fit in here and hold the snap ring back. Bobby pins have been suggested. I got one subscriber that said that he made it out of a windshield wiper. He took the rubber off the windshield wiper and cut them down, ground them down so that they fit in between here. That's one way to do it. In fact, I got a wiper blade that just failed on my car. I think I'm going to make a couple to replace the ones that have disappeared. And so I'll let you know how that goes. Just drop that all the way down in, pull your deals out. And you want to make damn sure it just got in that groove. Because I've had it happen before where you thought it was in there and got in the car and it applied a few times and then it blew it out. So I started air checking them after that several times and pulling on the gear, turning it, just to make damn sure that that thing is not going to come out of there. Because like I said, I thought I had it in there and it was not. Alright, we should be okay. It's about where the clearance usually ends up. If you can see that. Don't worry about the burn marks, they're not going to affect anything on it. Now the other bearing goes on the back. And this washer goes on top. then our drum's going to sit down inside of that. Make sure it goes all the way down. Looks like we got one more clutch to go. Alright, that looks down. I'll set that to the side until we're ready for it. Get this out of my way. Overrun clutches here. There's another check ball in there. Make sure it's free. Now this one here can be a bit of a pain getting in there. I don't have the tool for putting it in the drum. It's rounded enough that you're probably not going to screw it up. It's getting it started around the center here that's the real problem. That one went really easy. This plate, bevel plate, goes with the cones up. This washer goes with the lip up. And the sprag sits on top of the hub here, feet on the bottom. You gotta make sure that that's kind of centered, otherwise it won't go all the way down. And we got this snap ring here, short end of the taper up again. Alright, we got the sun gear here. There's a ring cut in the center, or kind of offset of the center of it. You want the long end with the bevel facing up, the short end facing down. Our planet's going to sit inside there. Oh, we got to put our clutches in. We got a cushion plate. I've seen these break and they can be hard to get, but I haven't seen that many of them broken. Steel, another steel, and a clutch, and then the pressure plate. It says up on it. It faces up, flat snap ring. Now you can get two clutches in the kit. I have never seen one that had two clutches. So I don't know what they came in. I've never ever seen one, and I've built a lot of these. Alright, we can't put the input shaft on right now. That takes that other snap ring. Short end of the taper is going to be up towards us again. We have to wait for our pump kit to show up. Hopefully it's right next time. Alright, there's an O-ring down inside your output shaft flange. It's slightly larger than the two that go in to seal up the overdrive housing adapter and the case. Just kind of set it in that groove like that. My output shaft is messed up, which I forgot to mention. I need a output shaft and a nut. So we can't stack this in the case until that shows up. This is a flat O-ring, and a flat one goes inside here. And this one here has got a D-shaped O-ring that goes on the inside. The rounded edge faces out towards the center in here. This lip seal here, there's two different ones. So Let's see if we can find the wrong one first. Alright. Usually it's easy to see if you got the deep piston, because this lip seal will be down below that edge right there. It's very easy to feel it too. So we know this one takes the deep one. When you have the shallow one and you put the deep one on it, it almost feels right, but you can see it doesn't look right. It'll have a little bit of that lip sticking up right there. So make sure that you get the right one. There's a sealing ring that goes on here. There's a sealing ring that goes on your servo. Break out our Superior kit because parts need to go on here. This spring they give you to go in the pump, don't ever put that in. Just go ahead and throw that away. They give you these that go between the overdrive housing adapter and the case. You can put these in if you want to. You cannot put these in on a BMW because the wiring harness will not fit through it. So I just throw them away. Apparently I've already been into this, so I need the parts for the servo that are not in here. So let me go find my new kit. I could really care less about the rest of this kit. I'll put the PR spring in. I don't put the valves in the valve body like they ask you to. I've had trouble with them before, so I don't even bother with them. We need this green O-ring and this brown one. This little cone spring and the red spring, I don't put them in. You can put them in if you want to. I don't feel the need. We need this little plate right here. We'll leave the rest of this. I do drill the holes. I do put the cup plug in like they show. On the younger kit, I just put the bushing in, or the Transgo kit. I just put the bushing in. I do not drill the holes. You don't want to mix drilling holes on kits. You got to be careful when you put different kits together. If you're not drilling anything, you're going to be okay, but pick one and stick with that. Okay, the green O-ring goes down inside of here. The brown O-ring's going to go in this groove right here. Our spring is going to fit over the top of that. this is going to go in here. That's going to seal up all the leaks on our servo. You either need to do this or you need to ream the case out and put a sleeve in it. Guaranteed the bore is worn out. Alright, we're coming down to the last of what we can do here. This accumulator has a flat O-ring on it. Down in this accumulator bore, if you get some jackass that's siliconed one in, you need to get all that out of there. Otherwise it's just going to continue to leak and you're going to have nothing but troubles. The snap ring will probably pop out, the cover is going to probably pop out. Lube up your O-ring, and you're never I think you can put a whole tube of silicone on there. You're not going to get the thing to quit leaking. Just need to use a new cover on it. Here's our spring, our snap ring. I want the short end of the taper up again. You can put some grease on here if you want to. I never found the need to really use any. I get a ball peen hammer and a rubber hammer. Put the ball right there. Knock it in. It'll stay there if you didn't lube it. If you did, it's going to come right back out. Lube this up really good. Lube up our piston really good. Starting to go. This one being most difficult. Can't have too much on this one. This one, you're going to have a little bit of trouble. get it started around there. You're going to have to push it down really hard after you get the outer lip started around. So what I do is I get the outer lip started, and I get the heel of a rubber mallet, pop it in. Here's our return spring. Short end of the taper up again. Just start one edge of it in, and then just work it around. Got this plastic lube restrictor, looks like a corkscrew. Little leg's gonna face out towards you. Put this someplace safe so it doesn't get broken. You're gonna have a hell of a time getting one if you do. There's two different gaskets. There's one hole that's different on them both. Those two go together and these two go together. And let's see which one's different. Alright. Here we go. See that hole right there? Now it's plugged off with this gasket. And we're open with this gasket. We've got the triangle with the rectangle there. This is not going to fit exactly, you know, solid with every orifice that it's going to have, so don't get too upset if you can't get everything lined up perfectly. We're just going to line it up the best that we can. Put our gasket, plate, gasket, and I forgot we cannot put this on. Let's see. Yeah, we can put this on right now. I'm thinking of the pump. So when you're putting the transgo bushing in, there's a hole right down in here. You're going to need a press to press this bushing in and out. There's a little small hole that you got to line up with this hole, and make sure you put the bushing in the proper way and that you get that hole lined up. And it's pretty much, the bushing is even with the hole right here and up here. So then we got two short holes that go together down here. Half-inch head bolts go down here. And we're just going to line up our gasket and our plate pretty much the best that we can. It's not going to be 100% in every hole. Just get as close as you can. And people get upset that I don't use a torque wrench. I just double check everything by hand. I know what the torques feel like, that they're supposed to be. I don't get too worked up about it. A lot of people do. You need to use a torque wrench, use a torque wrench. Just double check your bolts and make sure that they're right. People got upset that I was using my impact and I wasn't showing me double checking the tightness of my bolts. So I started showing that now, because people didn't think I did it, but I do. But I do not break out the torque wrench on every stinking, so the Verb decided to quit recording all of a sudden. And what it is with these cameras, been recording this whole time and it just quit. Alright, lube that all up. This one here is easy to cut these, so don't go beating on it to get it in there. You need to kind of twist and push down as you're doing it, and if you're careful, it won't cut it. Started showing me tightening bolts with my ratchet, because people thought I was just using my impact only. People get worked up about certain things. Alright, I usually do this one at the foot press because these springs are going to start trying to fall over. If I do it at the foot press, I run less of a chance of having to redo all this. But anyway, the retainer sits on top. Short end of the taper of our snap ring is going to face up towards us. Now these washers that go on here, say that the flat washer that doesn't have the tips on it, the early ones had these tips on them also, like the pump does, and had the grooves cut out for it. They say that this one runs more of a risk of breaking because it's flat and it spins. I've seen these break just as much. I don't get too worked up about that either. They say you can go in here and machine this out so that you can put this style washer in. I don't see the point in spending the time. You can do it if you want to. Just make sure that you get your clearance to come out right after you do it all. I just put them, if they're broke, I replace them. If they're not, I don't. If they're looking pretty ragged, I go ahead and replace them. The the sealing rings are scarf cut that go together just like that. You put grease on here, hold them in if you want to. Here's a flat O-ring that goes in here. We can go ahead and put our valve body and our pan on because we don't need it. This is a BMW. We'd have to wait till we put this on the case because the wires come through here for here. We can take this out and we can silicone this. These tabs usually break, so I don't even try to not break them. I just knock it out. Odds of you not breaking it are almost zero. You put you a new O-ring on it. Even if you put the new O-ring on it, put you some silicone, some good grade silicone around that, and put that back in. Now, this has a lineup tab on it, and if you think that lineup tab goes out here, you're wrong. It goes on the inside right there. So make sure you put that back the proper way. If you don't, when you plug your harness in out here, all this in here is going to be backwards, and it's going to do some goofy things. Yeah, see if I can get this to stay upright. And get a view of that somewhat. Okay, there's a check ball spot right there. If there are not two holes right here, it does not take a check ball. So this one takes the check ball. Alright, where's my gaskets? Okay, the gaskets are the same with the exception of one has a bathtub, one has two holes. If you put the two holes down here, you're going to have a 2-3 flare. So put the bathtub down here. Now if you don't have check ball, it don't matter which way you put it. So if you have one with no check ball and all you have, you ripped a gasket or something and all you have is the one with the two holes or the two bathtubs, you're okay. So put the bathtub down there, put the two holes on top, and I usually use the lineup bolts. One goes here, one goes here. These don't fit exactly right, but they're close. Alright, then our valve body goes on top. Alright, battery ran out on me. So there's two different style valve body bolts. You got the ones that's got a shoulder, the ones that don't. The ones that have a shoulder go on the front valve body, the ones that don't go on the back. I did an ohms check on the solenoids, and the Epc solenoid was running 21 ohms, and it should be down around 4.7 to 5.7, I believe is what it was. So I had to change that out even though it wasn't throwing a code for it. Alright, a lot of times these tabs break off on here also. I've seen people zip tie them in. You can do that if you want to. I've never seen one come undone. The gasket has cutouts. It only lines up one way. So just pick the way that lines up. Valve body bolts have these shoulders on them, 10 millimeters. Alright, I do believe that is about all that we can do until our pump and our output shaft shows up. Alright, front valve body, the filter with the O-ring on it. O-ring on the end plug. Now I've seen quite a few of these broke out right here. Alright, I always replace my band solenoid and my 2-shift solenoids no matter what. Got another filter with another O-ring. Goes back here. This plug goes on the front of that, and then our roll pin goes through. It's going to be flush with this side. These shift valves or solenoids have tabs on them. It's to line up with this slot. Then this roll pin just needs to be below flush right there. I'll actually put these in right up here. That's good. Now, I don't have the other solenoid yet. I only had these two. So our band solenoid is going to go in with this little wavy washer. And our roll pin's going to go. And this will float all the way through. So it's going to use the tension of that washer to hold that in place. And then we have 1/4 inch check ball that goes down here. Okay, that's it. This insulation likes to come off of here. I get some of the black stuff from O'Reilly's, and I take this all off and I put new on here. It always crumbles off when it gets hot. I guess that's it till we get our separator plates and we put the valve body on the case. Alright, this is one of the best things you can do for your 4L30 right here, is to clean this thing up. So we'll go through it. This is a T20 Torx bit. Takes some time, but makes your unit work a lot better. Also saves you from having to buy a neutral switch a lot of times. They're not cheap. Alright, open this up, take that seal out right there. It's probably going to expand on you anyway, but you do not want this to get anywhere near solvent. You can go, and we're going to clean all this out. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. It's a vent hose right here that hooks into here. We're going to take this off of here. I'm going to polish up these contact points. Bend these contact points up a little bit, clean this all out, and polish this up just a little bit. I'll be back when I get all that done. Alright, you're going to need some dielectric grease. This contact here is spring loaded. Make sure that you don't lose all that stuff. I'm going to take these and bend these up just a little bit. I don't want to get too radical with them. Going to take some dielectric grease, and are we empty? I think we're getting pretty close. Let me go see if I got some more. Alright, we're going to run a bead right along in there, run a bead right along in here, fill that up a little bit. Put this back on here. Actually, put it on this side over here. And we're going to pull our Pull our vent hose out. Put our gasket back on. If it says has expanded, we're going to cut it and put some silicone. I think we're going to be okay. A lot of times it swells up and it gets too big, and I'll just cut it up here in the corner and I'll extend it up to where it's going to be as it lays normally, and cut off the little bit of excess that's there, and then just put a dab of silicone right there. Put your vent hose on, slide it back up in there, and then just put it back together. And it takes you about an extra 10-15 minutes on your build, but trust me, your unit's going to work better. These things get really dirty. You want to be sure and put this heat shield back on it too. Alright, and your heat shield is going to go on. That's going to sit right there. It's going to clip back here. And this one is going to clip just like that right there. Yep, not quite on there. Off just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, we're on there. Okay. Got my 4L30 conversion kit in, and it's always a good idea to go ahead and check and make sure everything that you got was correct. And in this case, it was not. The pump is supposed to be different in these areas that are marked in yellow. This converter drain back area for the non-PWM is supposed to be different than what this one is. I don't know that that makes that much of a difference. The rest of this over here looks right, but these two drain back areas look the same. So here's our passages that are different. The main thing that I noticed, the pump is a 2-valve pump. This is my 4-valve. The pump plate that they sent is a PWM plate, so that wouldn't have worked. It does have the right input shaft. That's a non-PWM. That's the PWM. So the input shaft and the pump itself was right. Not sure about the bell housing. I know the plate wasn't right at all. So they don't sell the plate separate. So I'm gonna have to wait until my next conversion kit comes in. It's gonna be a couple days. So we'll see what we get when that comes in. Okay. We got the pressure regulator valve is going to go in this way. It's got a washer that sits on top. Got the little feet that spring's got to sit on that. The factory spring we're going to replace with the Superior spring. There's another washer with the little feet sit around the spring and face down. This valve goes inside of here, put some grease on it to keep it from sliding out. The little pin's going to fit down the front of it. This valve, you can go in with the tip out. Now we need to go to our 4-valve pump. And you're looking for this valve right here. See if I can do this on camera. Spring tension to pop the plug out. Pop that little plug out. And we pull the valve out. It's got the spring. It's a little bit longer, a little bit lighter. Back in there. Alright, so now you take that spring that we took out of the other pump and put in here. Put our end plug back on. Put our roll pin back in. There we go. Okay, then for our pump gears, there's supposed to be a dot on each gear, and the dots face up. This one does not have a dot on the inner gear or outer gear. So one side's got a little bit more of a bevel than the other. Put that bevel down. And the inner gear has a dot. It faces up. This is stepped, faces up, bevel faces down. pump plate is going to fit on top. And let me take the pump and input shaft away. You can see the difference in the input shafts. Mine didn't come with sealing rings, so this ring here is solid. You can just stretch it out with your fingers until you can get it over the land here and get it down into the groove, and then just resize it with a hose clamp if you don't have the tool for doing either one of those. And once you get that size down, you can put it in the back of the stator, and it'll size to the size of the pump. So let me get rid of this stuff and get it out the way. Here's our differences on the plates. This one's a 492, the other one's a 507. Make sure I keep the right pump shaft. Alright, there's a little ridge back here we're going to get rid of. .20 Torx on these bolts for the seal. I put a new bushing in here. I don't like the way it looks, and I don't like these brown seals. Hopefully I got a black one in the kit. Yeah, black ones are much better. I've had a lot of problems with these brown ones leaking. Got a deburring tool. You can use anything you want to. All we're doing is getting rid of that burr that's on that edge right there. You use a knife, a razor blade, whatever. Just get rid of that. Even gonna flat sand that just a little bit. Builder's bent stone, you can get it from Transfer.
Honda filter.
think we're looking pretty good there. Sends you a 350 pump bushing. It's a little bit longer. It's going to stick out the front a little bit. Make sure that the bushing is not sticking up past that little channel right there. Line up your bolt holes. You can actually do this after you line the pump up. A lot of them recommend that you leave the seal out. I've never had trouble doing it this way. Got this channel right there. It's got to go with that channel right there. And missing one of these bolts. That's what happens when stuff sits around for weeks without having someplace to keep it separated. Been asked about my lineup tool. I'm not sure where I got it. I thought ATEC Trans Tool, but I looked on their website and I didn't see it. So I think I got it from TranStar. Make sure all your holes are lined up. Your plates lined up. You don't need to get super radical about that, just tight. It's probably right around 18 foot-pounds, 20 foot-pounds. That's all you need to be. You don't need to crank that thing down so tight. When you try to take those back out, it's going to just round it off. And these can be a pain to get out when you're trying to chisel them out. Somebody put these back in so tight that I had to chisel one out and ended up breaking the bell housing. Anyway, so you don't need to get super radical with those things. So that's it as far as lining up the pump. I'm gonna have to find that other bolt, put that head on. And we got another flat O-ring that goes out here on this side. We got a 3-tab washer goes back here. This is selective, so you need to get the right one to make your end clearance come out right, which, since we're changing everything, the odds are is going to be different. This accumulator here, do not change that spring that they give you from Superior kit. Do not put that in there. And we got the gasket that goes on. You just line up all your oiling slots. And if we ever get an output shaft, we'll be putting that on. I guess we can go ahead and put the input shaft on the overdrive planet overrun drum. So we've got a solid ring already on. The other 2 sealing rings are scarf cut and they go together like that. And you just put the shaft in. Short end of the taper up towards us again. Alright, that's it for that. We are at a standstill again until we get our output shaft and nut. Alright, see if we can't finally get through this 4L30. Just put your band in with the ply side towards this side, the 2 pins on the back side. Your planet, you're going to have to line up. There's ID marks. There's a line here, single line, 2 lines. Turn it till the 2 lines are there. And this one is a single line. And this one is a double line. These all have to line up. And you put your sun gear in. Then once you got your sun gear in, make sure that they all line up. Alright, the bearing. Somebody, when they put the bushing in here, they drove it way up past it. The bearing was stuck back there because they drove it way up through there. It's not supposed to be that far up. It can poke through a little bit, but it can't poke up that far. So put your bearing in, put your output shaft in, and then for my bands, I don't do it the way the factory says to do it. You have 2 sides of your pin. You got a beveled side and a rounded side. The rounded side goes down. We got our stuff on that we put on for our servo from the Superior kit. Set that down on there. Get you a big pair of channel locks. Get your snap ring. You'll need a pocket screwdriver. Now, judging by everything else that was done on this tranny, this band is probably not set properly. Yeah, adjust this out a little bit. Maybe I can get up here. Nothing on this transmission was done right, as far as I could tell. The Epc solenoid that was in here was reading 20 ohms. So I've swapped that out. How it was not throwing a code for it, I don't know. Okay. There we go. Now let's see where the adjustment is on this band. I think I don't know, it's pretty close right there. Now, I'm going to show you how I do it. The book calls for 5 turns. I never end up at 5 turns. Alright, you need a 1/2 inch and a 17. That loosens that up. And we are 3/16, I believe, on the Allen. So they have you turn this all the way in till it bottoms out. And a certain amount of, I think it's like 45 inch-pounds of torque. I just tighten it down to where it's tight. Then they want you to back off 5 turns. I usually end up around 4 to 4.5. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll stop there. I'll see what my band looks like. Okay, I'm at 4 and the drum is turning. We're good. I'm going to leave it right there. All I want is that drum to be able to turn. If that drum will turn, I'm good. So we're good there. All right, make sure our washer's still up in there. This has been sitting for days. You got the bearing and the washer on the back here. On top, we got this piece. Put the tab over at the 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Start off with the steel and then alternator clutches. Now the output shaft I used on here is from a BMW. Nobody had the output shaft. And it appears, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. What did I do here? Something's wrong. stacked this wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dang it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess this one only uses 4. Talking when I should be paying attention. Alright, put this big down in there. Anyway, the output shaft is out of a BMW. I cut the tip of it off. This little thing right here that the drive shaft would fit up inside of. Other than that, it looks to be the same. So we're going to give it a shot, and I'll let you know how it turns out. I've been waiting for 2 weeks for an output shaft, and nobody could come up with one. This is the best that we could come up with. So I put my cushion plate with a tab here, here, and here. Problem with stuff sitting around so long is things start getting messed up. Alright, 2 O-rings in there. Our sealing rings and our washer is on there. Trying to remember where the camera is pointing. I'm trying to rush here. We're in a super hurry for this thing. We got our washer sits on here, our ring gear, this bearing, our planet, alright, come on, drop. Sometimes these are really tough to get to drop. There we go. Alright, let me figure out which side goes where. I think I got this upside down. Alright. 2 tabs, single tab. Two steels, one on top of each other. Another steel on top. And a cutout of our deal is going to face up to 6 o'clock. Now I'm going to have to move this, put the gasket on. And it's on our pump. I'm going to put the pump down, put my pump bolts in. I'll tighten this all down, because this camera's going to be right in the way. Put our lockup O-ring on. Give that a little bit of lube. Alright, set this on its back. Looks like our clutch clearance came out fine. We have 2 check balls, one goes here, one goes here. We have our gasket. Now this makes it a little bit difficult to do, but I put 2 lineup pins in here, keep my gasket in place, and it makes it hard to put the valve body down. But it can be done. We have our check ball that was in the valve body. We've got our gasket on here. 2 7/16 bolts that holds that in. The plate, do all the stuff that they have you do in the kit. Drill that hole, you drill this hole. They have you drill this to 156 thousandths. This plug is 185 or something like that. I drill it with 197 thousandths drill bit and beat the plug flat, and then I get the gasket, find out where the hole should be, drill it out with that 73 and then buff it down to where it's flat, and then they have you drill the other 2 holes. I can't remember where they are right now. I just follow the instructions for that. Oh, I almost forgot my cup plug that they want you to put in there. This can be fun to get in there sometimes also. And my light's going out in here so I can't see very well. And get a little bit smaller pump. And just a tad bit too big. I don't like putting this cup plug in there. Like I said, it can be a super pain to get in. Alright, that's pretty damn close. Alright. Alright, we got our manual valve. We got a long side of the S-clip and a short side. The long side goes in the manual valve. Short side's going to go in the rooster comb right there. Oh, but of course, come on, go down. All right. got these 13, actually they're 1/2 inches on these American bolts. And the filter, I don't know what I did with the filter, it's been so long. I think it's this bolt that the filter goes in. So this one, and I believe this one. I have to find my filter. I know I had one. Got our gasket sits on there, our cover. We've got 4 1/2-inch bolts. And I'm just going to put the wiring harness on. You don't need to see me put the filter in the pan on. Put the tail housing on. And finish this up at some other point. Put the new conduit on my wiring harness because it was all messed up. Alright, now, why ain't you going? Here we go. Put our band solenoid in, our 2 shift solenoids. There's a little channel for the conduit to sit in right there. Filter's going to go on top. Got this piece, and you don't forget you got the sealing ring on there. And this came off really tough. Some of these are really tough, and I don't know why. We got our reluctor with the speedometer gear. Okay, we got our spring and our park actuator. Actually, I got this backwards. Let's see. This way. There we go. And our gasket. Make sure your park rod goes up inside of there. put this back on its side so I can see. Gasket's gonna be a pain. All right, 9/16 on the tail housing. Output flange, we got the O-ring up inside of there. Got a little bit of red Loctite on there. 1 3/16. Alright, our speedometer, not sure where to put it. We got our speedometer gear, and it has this little piece that goes in the end of it. That's going to go up inside there. And it goes over here. The speed sensor with an O-ring on it. It goes here. Somebody's lost all the damn bolts to this thing and swapped them out. $10 millimeters on that. Oh, come on. Yeah, we got our neutral switch. Sometimes, like this bracket, it's supposed to be on there, and they've obviously broken it off of there. So we'll have to zip tie that back. You got two 10mm that hold that on. Just line it back up where it was. And we got our vent hose that goes on the top here. I just need to put my filter and my pan on, and we're done with this unit. So we'll catch you on the next one.